Hello, welcome back to my channel. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do another video just because, but I decided to because I have a lot of thoughts on the latest book I just finished yesterday afternoon. So this was actually like one of the fastest I've read a book in a long time. Usually it takes me like 2 to 3 weeks to read a book. No, I started this last Sunday. I finished it yesterday. It took me exactly 1 week to read because it was just that good. It's called Sisters of War by Lana Kortchik. And it's about like two sisters in living during World War II. And they are in the Soviet Union, and there's a war going on, of course, and like in Kiev. And so then it talks about like their family's life. It's called the Smirnovs, I believe is their family's name, and it's just like goes through everything, like what their whole family is going through, and also like of course there's a little bit of romance going on. Like one of the sisters, her name is Lisa. She's engaged to a really nice gentleman, and then Natasha is the other sister, and she ends up falling in love with a Hungarian soldier. He's from Hungary, but he's still fighting on Hitler's side, even though he says I had no choice, but he still did fight for Hitler. And so she basically, during World War II, there's all that stuff going on with the war. As if that wasn't enough, and all that drama dealing with the war, then she develops a romance with this Hungarian soldier, and she's not supposed to say anything because she's not supposed to be. He's kind of on the enemy side, so she has to kind of try and see him when she can, and kind of develops a lot of lies because she can't tell her family about him because of who he fights for and everything like that. So, and then there's just like a whole lot of the stuff that goes down between the sisters. And so it was actually, like I said, I knew, normally it takes me a couple weeks to read a book. I finished this in 1 week because it was just so good. And it just, I can't remember. I think this was the author's debut book. Yep. Sisters of War is her first novel. And for her first book, I think this was just phenomenal. Like, I thought it was, there's some parts that were kind of, honestly, I called them. I was like, I could kind of see this happening. But for the most part, I thought it was, like, really well done. You could almost feel like you were there, and you could imagine, especially since I've read, like, the Diary of Anne Frank and everything. And so I've read a lot, and I read a lot of historical fiction. It kind of reminded me a lot of like the Nightingale too, with two sisters during the war. Kind of like the same like theme, but you almost feel like you were there. Like how would you they cut off all your food, and how are you can't get flour, you can't get bread. The bread you can get is just terrible and stale and everything. So it's just, and it kind of, in a way, it kind of has the theme of be thankful for what you have, because look at what this is. This was fiction, but a lot of people did go through this during that time, and they had to do what they could to survive. If they weren't taken away by the Nazis, and if they were able to stay at home, they had to do what they could to survive, and that means having very little food. So it made me really appreciate, too, like, because a lot of people have the tendency to, look in their fridge and be like, I have no food, I'm hungry, there's nothing to eat here, even though there definitely is. There'd be something you could have. So it just definitely makes me, like, appreciate. And, yeah, like, I will say, though, not really a spoiler, but one of the sisters, Natasha, the one who dates the Hungarian soldier, she just irritated me, throughout the book. There was one part, I actually did a video, I ended up deleting it, but I just wanted to, like, vent out my frustrations, because I got to, like, I think it was, like, chapter 5 or 6, and I was just so frustrated with her, and I was just like, I don't like this woman, I don't like what she's doing, and, like, you'll see if you end up reading this book, you'll see what I mean by it, because Natasha was just irritating at some points, and, I don't know why she continued to. I know this guy's name is Mark, and I know she just loved him, but it's like, if you know it's wrong, you probably shouldn't be dating him, maybe, if you know it's wrong, and if you have to keep your relationship a secret. But it's like, so it was like a really good story, though, and you get to really love her family members, and like her best friend Olga, and you just kind of you just develop like a nice relationship with these family members and just kind of appreciate what they're all going through, and you just want them to, succeed in life, and you want them to, win and come out healthy and everything. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book, but it was, I will say it is really heavy, very, very sad at points, and so then I used my little spin the wheel app, which is what I use to determine my next reads, because I have like 6,000 books on my TBR list, and so I use a spin the wheel app because I would never be able to decide what to read next. And thankfully, my next one, I started reading yesterday. I'm like 2 chapters in. It's called Runaway Bride. I think it's like a book that's like English, because I can tell from the way the author writes that it sounds kind of like an English type of book. Like the way the wording sounds like British. But, so basically, let me see. I'm just pulling this up here. Pulling this up. It's called Runaway Bride by Mary Jane Baker. So I think she like runs away from she's supposed to get married to this gentleman, and she ends up not getting married to him, and I think she works for her sister-in-law, and she just kind of dropped everything, and now she's hitchhiking with a guy who's in a van with a dog, and you know how that goes. You're not supposed to get in a van with guys who have a dog. But I just love it too, because I'm 2 chapters in, and I can tell it's just hilarious, which is exactly what I need, because I've been reading some really heavy books, really hard material and stuff, and so I'm this could have come at a better time, because I think it's just going to be hysterical. It just takes a while for me to get used to the wording, the way the author writes, because I'm from the United States, and she writes British, the way the British talk, and so, or the English, I should say. So it takes me a little bit to get used to it, and I think the gentleman that she's hitchhiking with is Irish, but so I'm trying to visualize the accents and stuff. But I think it's going to be an enjoyable read. Like I said, I'm 2 chapters in, and I think it's going to be just what I needed. Yeah, so that's my next read right now. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long to read. I know I'm actually flying through books right now, which is, I've never really read this much in a month, and so I'm I'm really proud of myself of my reading progress and how much I'm reading. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, thanks for checking this out, and as I said, A Runaway Bride is my next read. Thanks, bye!